This Friday night, we're going to have our second movie night. We're going to have movies and games at the house. So Sister Terry and I are looking forward to seeing y'all on Friday. And it'll be around 7 o'clock. We'll start. If you get there a little bit early, that's okay. You can start playing games or whatever a little early. We'll have dinner. I'm not for sure what we're going to feed y'all yet, but, we'll have a good dinner. And we'll play some games. We'll have some fun. And we're going to watch the Chronicles of Narnia. I'm really looking forward to watching that movie with y'all and spending some time with you. I kind of preached a message tonight that was actually inspired by some of the Christian symbolism that C.S. Lewis, the author of the Chronicles of Narnia, had written into the books that composed that series. And I realized that a couple of you were there this evening for that service, and most of you were not. And so what I want to do is I want to take about 7 minutes of that message, and I want to play it for you here now in this video, so that when you come over to the house on Friday to watch the movie, hopefully you'll have kind of a new perspective on the movie. I know a lot of you have already seen it, and so maybe this will enable you to watch the movie kind of through a different lens, if you will. So let's just go ahead and get right into that. I had read recently, it was kind of a critique of C.S. Lewis, and C.S. Lewis wrote the Chronicles of Narnia. And when C.S. Lewis began writing, he was lost. He was not just lost, he was an atheist. He didn't believe in God at all. And he gets saved later in life, and because he was such a prolific author even before he got saved, because he was such a renowned university professor, he was a professor of literature and antiquities. And because he was such a profound writer, he was already known as a philosopher and so forth, he started writing call it his theological development. In other words, he gets saved and he's trying to establish his theology. He's trying to establish an understanding of the Bible and the Scripture and basic Christian doctrine. And he wrote a book that we now know as Mere Christianity, but it was basically his own struggles and his own debates trying to determine what he was going to believe as a Christian and what he was going to do with different aspects of Christian theology. And I'm going to say this, he got a lot of it wrong. But, that's to be understood. He gets saved later in life and he's struggling and he's growing and he's developing. And there are even contradictions in Mere Christianity, because the more he learns, he comes to realize that things that he had originally assumed were wrong, and as he studied the Bible more and so forth. And so there are some that would say, well, was C.S. Lewis even a Christian? I would say that he was. I would say he had the disadvantage of having to have his development and his struggle to come to, the Bible says, work out your own salvation. That's what he was doing. He was working out his salvation. He was working out his belief system. The world just got to read it. And a lot of this stuff was even published after he was dead. Did Lewis get some things wrong? Yes. Does that mean that he wasn't a Christian? No, it doesn't. But I think Lewis's signature work was probably a 7-volume series of books called the Chronicles of Narnia. And the reason I'm talking about it is because we're going to watch the movie The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe Friday for youth night. And some people don't realize that movie was actually written, when Lewis wrote the book, he actually wrote it with a lot of Christian symbolism in it. And so what I want to kind of do is I want to kind of put that out there tonight. I want to put that out there because I want our young people to watch this movie, and maybe even some of our adults, if they watch it, to watch it in light of the symbolism that undergirds it. In other words, not just see it for the fantasy story that it is, and it's a pretty good fantasy story, but to kind of watch it through the lens of the symbolism that was written into it. And the story is that basically there are these 4 children. They're Peter, Susan, Edmund, and Lucy. And they're evacuated from London to their country home during World War II. And on a rainy day, they're playing hide and seek, and they climb into this antique wardrobe, and it ends up being a doorway into this magical world called Narnia. And they encounter all of these mystical creatures. And they meet a witch, and her name is Jadis. And they meet a lion, and his name is Aslan. And they meet some other figures. And Aslan is actually the Turkish name for lion. And he was the creator of Narnia, and he symbolizes Jesus himself. In other words, he's the creator. Even in the Bible, Jesus is referred to as the Lion of the tribe of Judah. He is the power of good throughout the book. And at the end, he gives his life so that others can be saved. And so he's the symbol of Jesus. Queen Jadis, she's the picture of the devil in that book and in that movie. Peter, the young boy Peter, is kind of likened to the Apostle Peter. And you'll see different things in his life as you were to watch the movie or read the book, and you'll kind of come to understand why he is a type of the Apostle Peter. Susan becomes the queen in Narnia, but she later dismisses everything that happened as kind of a childhood story. She's kind of like Peter Pan. Remember the Robin Williams version of Peter Pan where he grew up and he no longer believed in the things that he knew in his childhood. And that's kind of what Susan does. And she represents somebody who's religious very early in life, but she abandons her faith as she grows older. Edmund is tempted away from the family by the White Witch and her Turkish delights. And she promises him things, the pleasures of sin for a season, if you will. He ends up being pulled away from the faith. There's different things that he symbolizes, but ultimately, he's the symbol of the everyman that Jesus died for on the cross. And then there's Lucy, and she's the youngest child, and she's the strongest believer in Aslan, and she symbolizes the simple faith. What did Jesus say? You need to come to him as a small child. And so she has that childlike faith. The stone table where Aslan dies is a symbol of the cross and so forth. And there's more symbolism that I may or may not share with the teenagers on Friday before they watch the film. But what I want y'all to do is I want y'all to watch this film next time, and like I said, not just see it as a fantasy story, but try to pull out the symbolism. Maybe even try to pull out some symbolism that I don't even mention, and see if it doesn't change your perspective when you watch the movie. This isn't the only movie. For example, The Lord of the Rings was written by J.R.R. Tolkien. And he had a lot of Christian symbolism and biblical symbolism in that movie as well, or those three movies, those three books that became the three movies. And so you'll, as you begin to see the symbolism, you'll view The Lord of the Rings differently. Star Wars, not a lot of Christian symbolism there. A lot of Buddhist and Eastern religion symbolism in there. And as you come to understand it, you'll also view those movies very differently than you do now as well. But just an idea to try to pull out the Christian symbolism in The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe when we watch it Friday, and Lord willing, like I said, Lord willing, it'll totally change your perspective. We definitely look forward to watching the Chronicles of Narnia this Friday and having y'all over at the house to have some fun and some fellowship. And so if you need a ride, my email address is on the screen. If you need a ride, email me. Of course, a lot of our young people already have my cell phone number. And if you need a ride, you can call me, or you can reach out to Sister Clara. And anyways, at any event, if you need a ride, let us know, and we'll make sure that you have a ride so that you can come and have some fun and some fellowship with everybody. If you're wondering about the picture that you're seeing here, I took this picture. It's called a selfie. I took it in Berlin. I was at the Shell station in Berlin on Tuesday, right after Will's baseball tryout. And by the way, Will did make the team, and they about halfway through the tryout, one of the coaches just handed me a contract and said, we want him. And so I'm really proud of Will for that, and look forward to being able to see him get back into playing some baseball. But we went to the gas station afterwards, had to get some gas, and decided to take a selfie. It was my first time wearing the new mask. And basically what it is it's a ball cap, and it has a clear plastic shield, goes over your face. And so, as far as the governor's mandate that people wear a face covering when they're, in certain places, this fulfills that requirement. So for those of you who are just really unable to breathe in a cloth face mask or in a surgical mask, that was definitely my case. I just can't breathe. And so that's why I found this mask. I saw it on eBay. It was $6. They mailed it to me, and it worked really well. I was able to breathe freely and yet still had the face covering, and was still within the within the requirements of the mandate to be able to go into the store and to be able to go into different businesses and so forth. I know that at least a few of you are asthmatic, and being asthmatic, of course, you can't really wear a cloth mask for a long period of time because it affects your breathing and can even trigger an asthma attack. And so with this mask, you can breathe freely. You don't have to worry about having an asthma attack. But yet, you're still not spitting on people, and you're within the requirements of the governor's mandate. And so I just thought I'd share this with you, in the event that it's of interest to any of y'all. Like I said, you find them on eBay, find them on Amazon. As far as like a basketball shot or some kind of an athletic video, what I'm going to share with you is a video that we shot on Monday night. And Will was at his strength and conditioning class there in Salisbury. And they were having a tire pull competition. And it just so happened that the kid that Will drew to go up against was a 17-year-old, 4 years older than he is, a kid who has just signed a contract to get a full ride scholarship to play Division I football. This is big time here. And, did Will win this little contest? No, he didn't. But I'll tell you what, he kept at it, he kept at it, he kept at it. And he did his best, and he didn't quit. And, he just persisted in this, and he gave this Division I athlete a good run for his money. And, sometimes that's all you can do is your best. And, God never expects any more from us than our best. And so if you're genuinely, truly doing your best, if you're not giving up, if you just stay with it till the end, God is pleased. Whether you think you've won or lost, God, you're a winner in God's eyes. Will.